Hello and welcome to Lab Session 3 for CS4913 Business Information Systems in Microsoft Access. My name is Gavin Fitzgerald. I'll be walking you through this lab. So this lab session is focused around creating queries for our database. The first thing we're going to do is open our database. And just like before, we have our navigational pane and our ribbons up here. So we're going to come up to the Create tab and go Query Design. Now we're going to select what tables we're going to use with this query. For this one, we're going to use results and students. So we're going to get student grades with this query. We have two of them, and then click Add. Then hit Close, and now you're presented with the screen. Now we're going to grab what fields we're going to work with in this query. We're going to grab the student ID, select it and drag it down. Student name and student course. From the results table, we're going to work with the module ID and the student's grade in that module. So now you should have these 5 fields selected and dragged down below. The question on the lab sheets, what ribbon icon can be used to add a table to a query? Well, it's up here in the Query Setup ribbon. There's an option here called Show Table. So if you click it, here you can add what tables you want to use with the query. We currently have the two we're interested in, results and students, so we don't need any, so let's just close it. Now, let's see how we can sort it. So we're going to sort it by student ID, and we're going to have it be ascending. So the lower your student ID number is, the higher in the list you'll be. Now we can see we can get a complete list of our students and their results if we just come up here to View in the Results ribbon. And we're currently in the Design view, so let's switch to Datasheet view. In my students table, I have John Doe and Paul Merton. You may have more or less, but as you can see, their ID number, their name, their course ID, their module ID, and their grade in that module. So let's switch back to Design view. And let's set it so that we will retrieve the grades and students who have failed their module. So we're going to come down here to Criteria for f_grade and set it to D or F or NG, meaning that they've got either a D, an F, or an NG in their module. So let's switch to Datasheet view to make sure it's working. And we see that Paul Martin, who got an F in CS4813 appears, while the other student who did not get a fail grade does not. So let's just save and close the query, saving it as a fail query. Now let's make another query based on limiting the results form to modules that the student has taken in their course, that is available to their course. So for example, in computer systems, you're not doing CS4913 Business Information Systems, so that shouldn't be an available selection in the module dropdown. So we've got to come up here to Query Design again, and we're going to work with students, modules, and courses. Close this. Just to make this more readable, we can click on modules and drag it down beneath students. So the relationship between students, courses, and modules is fairly obvious. That one course has many students, one to many, and one course has many modules, one to many. Now, let's select what fields we want to use in the query. From modules, we'll get the module ID, the module name. From students, we'll grab the student ID. And we're technically going to use any of the fields from courses. That will make sense in a moment. Now let's remove the fact that the student ID will show up by clicking the show checkbox. So the student ID will no longer show up when we look at datasheet view. And to show that, let's just switch to datasheet view. As you can see, it's only showing the module ID and the module name. Okay, now for the actual part of the query, let's go criteria is equal to forms dot specify the results form, because that's the one we're working with, dot and f underscore student ID. Just make sure that the query picks up on the record in t underscore students that matches the student ID. Course ID in students is used to connect to the courses table up here. And the FID in modules, which ties to the course ID, checks to make sure that that module belongs to that course. So that only the modules from the student's course will appear in the query. Let's just widen this so we can see the entire criteria. There we go. Forms dot results form dot f underscore student underscore ID. Now let's test this. Let's go to datasheet view, and it's going to ask us for a student ID number, the student ID for which we want to get the results. So if I put in 9112877, I should get that person's modules. There we go. That person is doing Introduction to IT, Organizational Methods, and Business Psychology. Let's just save the query as course query. Now close it, and that concludes the laboratory session. Thank you very much.